Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, dude. I appreciate you joining. I've actually been a long time follower, a long time enjoyer of yours. I don't know. I actually don't know a ton about you, but I've been following you forever. So I'm excited to talk to you today. I'm grateful that you came on the stream and welcome. Do you want to start with like a quick intro on who you are? You don't have to go too crazy because we could dive into it, but give me like this like the high level, you know?
Hey, so I'm Path or Cryptopathic. I've been trading cryptocurrency since 2013. So 12 years now,
Oh.
getting old. Um, and yeah, I'm very interested in altcoins, in decentralization, and in collectibles as well, NFTs and so on.
Is it true that you started trading crypto when you were 15? Where did I read that? Is that true?
Yeah, yeah.
How's that even possible? Like, what were you doing at 15?
Well, I wanted to start trading something. I wanted to start trading with real money. And you can't sign up to a brokerage at that age. So I signed up to BTCE. That was a dodgy Russian exchange back in the day. 'Cause you didn't need there was no verification or anything. There was no KYC back then.
Whoa, and what? This is what 2013.
Yeah, yeah,
And what did you do? You just like fired some Bitcoin or with like allowance money or like what'd you do?
yeah. It was just Bitcoin trading initially, really, and then that expanded to like they had Litecoin, I think, and then kind of got further and further out from there. Like altcoins didn't really. There wasn't even really an altcoin ecosystem until late 2013. Like there were like one or two other coins that no one really talked about. So
Who was did crypto Twitter exist in 2013 in 2013?
It did towards the end, yeah. So I think the first big like social figure that people kind of that brought people into crypto was Max Kaiser, if you know him.
Okay.
So he worked for RT. He talked about Bitcoin on TV in 2010, I think, and on Twitter. And then in late 2013, so you know Bob Lax?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
He
Free
was
Bob
the
Lax.
probably one of the very first crypto Twitter account
In
in late
2013?
2013. He had a different name. Yes,
What was his name in 2013?
King BTC.
No way. In 2013, bro. And so what like you were on Twitter in 2013 as Cryptopathic?
Yes, yes. Well, no, I didn't. I didn't. I just followed people on my real account to begin with, and then I realized that probably wasn't a good idea. So I made Path.
Whoa. What about like Kobe? He's 2013. Like who else was 2013?
Yeah, yeah. Kobe is as well. A lot. CZ he was around then. He used to be the CTO of Kcoin, before he founded Binance. Um, a lot of the Bitfinex people were around back then. I can't of like the pseudonymous people there. Jeebus, if you know him.
Yeah.
And
Really? Jeebus was here in 2013?
yes, he was.
No
Yes,
way.
yes.
So there's like 20
Um,
there's like 20 people.
something like that. Yeah.
Damn, that's insane. So what tell me we can like maybe start current and then like I'll take you a work backwards. What are you currently spending most of your time doing and what are you working on right now in crypto?
So largely, I'm working with a DAO called Bureau of Internet Culture.
Okay.
Um, we rebranded recently from NFT. And what we do is we verify the provenance of tokens, mostly NFTs and also tradable ERC20 tokens as well. Um, and yeah, we're we're pushing this narrative of provenance. So we want to tie uh, tokens and collectibles and NFTs to authentic, verifiable information. So we want to create this paradigm where people aren't, you have a lot at the moment where people they're chasing shitcoins with momentum, right? And that's all it is. Really, there's no concrete information behind it. There's no history. There's no like solid culture. It's just kind of constant rotation and very fast like velocity of trading. We're more focused on the historical side of things, and getting artists paid for their work because a lot of meme coins
Hmm.
they use work that's taken from people who they never see any money from it. So Dogecoin is maybe the most egregious example of this, right? So Dogecoin went to 80 billion market cap, I believe, a few years ago. or whatever it was. And the person who took the image, Atsuko Sato, she'd never made any money from it at that point, right?
Wow,
So
is that
like you have
true?
people like Elon Musk who are pushing it. Yeah. Um, you have these like world famous people pushing it, and they've never acknowledged her existence, and they're making however much money off of her image and the image of her pet, right? So one of the projects I worked with was Own the Doge.
Hmm.
They won the image of Kaposi as an NFT for $4 million. Pleased that I won it, and then they fractionalized it. Um, and I was a big investor in that token. I worked with them. But that, yeah, she got $4 million for that image, and she never made any money before. So it's a great thing to reward these people for what the happiness they've brought to the world, and also then you're creating an asset that has provenance. It has a story behind it, right? Dogecoin is just it's a token someone made, and it's just a bunch of traders trading it. There's no link to the original content. Like you wouldn't you wouldn't buy a fake piece of art for an inflated price, right?
Hmm.
So it's kind of just we're putting that structure in the cultural side, the cultural context of things.
So, okay, before we dive into some of the specifics, how long have you been working on this for? And what is like your role? Did you create
Um,
it, or are you sort of like a partner, co-founder kind of thing?
yeah, I helped launch the DAO in 2021, so 4 years now. It started as NFT, Feisty Doge. So, in that auction where Atsuko sold the images, I won. Well, I was working with another company, but they won the Feisty Doge image, and we fractionalized that into NFT Feisty Doge, and that eventually rebranded to BIC, Bureau of Internet Culture. And what we do now is we collect all of these memes, and we help on board the creators, and we verify the provenance of them as well. And so we're like record keepers.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you explain to me the concept of how provenance works with these sort of historical, like digital assets? Like what, like how you would verify provenance with the Doge NFT specifically, and then why that would be valuable?
So there's always an off-chain component of this, right? So you need the context, you need the story from real life, which is essentially just it's a story shared between humans. There's a human aspect to it. So you need to verify that the person who took the photo is actually who they say they are, and you can do that through, social media. Atsuko has kept a blog for more than 15 years now. That's where the image was posted originally, the famous Doge image. And so, very easy. We have a timestamp for that. It's very well recorded. If you've ever been on Know Your Meme, they do a lot of
Okay.
they yeah, they compile a lot of the information that we use. So then we'd reach out to those people and we help onboard them. Atsuko was actually onboarded by the foundation. Um, that was very cool. Yeah. So they helped her turn her work into an NFT, and the reason this is so important, I think, for blockchains is once you have that initial link with the provenance, you never have to re-verify it, right? So if you have a physical artwork, like if you trade, if you buy sneakers, you have to verify it every single time you buy and sell it, right? With the blockchain, you only really have to do that once when you initially create the token, because the blockchain keeps that record forever, and you can look back through, and it's immutable. So there's no worry about having to constantly recheck these things, and it's stored there immutably.
Do you feel like a moral responsibility to participate in the record keeping of these digital artifacts, if you will?
I enjoy that part. I think it's nice to do that. Um, it's more interesting to me than constantly trading all these different kinds of shitcoins. Um, I think it's very important for the image of the space as well, right? So we're saying, you can people don't need banks anymore. People don't have to rely on these existing systems. People don't have to rely on the legacy art world to sell their art. They can just go and mint their work, and they can get the recognition that they deserve without having to, some agents, some art houses, they take like 50% fees. Um,
Whoa.
they can skip all of that. They can set up the auction themselves. They can monetize it. So like digital artwork, you've not been able to monetize that very easily. With NFTs, you can turn that into a digital object, so it has um, scarcity. Yeah.
So okay, the Doge NFT sold for $4 million. I think you said to Pleaser DAO.
Yes.
GCR bought the whiff NFT, didn't he? Was that brokered through you?
Yeah. So one member of our DAO, Korean speaking, he reached out to the family. He was able to onboard them and set up the auction. And yeah, GCR won that for 4 million. And then the other day, I think last week, they sold the physical hat as well.
Oh, that did happen. That physical. It was the physical hat. I didn't because I didn't even really realize that. That's awesome. GCR bought it for $4 million. Though. That's insane. How did that come to be? He just was interested.
He just showed up. Yeah, no, I'd messaged a bunch. We didn't think it would go for that much at all. Like we've onboarded a lot of different people. None of them have ever gone like that crazy. Right. I think the whiff auction, it was at the right time, you know. I'd messaged UCL before the auction, but he hadn't responded. So I was like, oh, he's not interested. But then he showed up. So
Oh, you messaged him. He didn't respond, and then he showed up.
yeah.
Whoa. That's awesome. I remember when that happened. $4 million was crazy. So what else have? Okay, actually, before that, when the whiff NFT sells for $4 million, like how much of it do you guys keep, and then how much goes to the originator of the whiff?
So at that time, we said we weren't going to take a fee. Obviously, if we knew it was going to go for that much, we probably would have taken like 5% or something. But we stuck to our word. So yeah, we didn't take anything from that sale. Yeah.
Whoa. And so what? That's crazy. That's 5% of 4 mil is a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in future we might start taking a percent for our services, but yeah, for that one we didn't. Because we wanted some goodwill. We wanted to kind of it's good marketing for us as well,
Yeah.
right? But we wanna show people that the industry is like it's for the people. It's not there's not these big institutions that take huge cuts or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chat is hating on me. How does TG not know about the bidding war for the whiff image? I do kind of remember it. I just remember GCR buying it. I didn't remember that there was like this crazy. I mean, I guess I remember it. It was 9gag was the other bidder, and it was this super viral.
Yes.
Okay. Makes
Yeah.
sense. So what other NFTs have you guys brokered?
So we end up buying quite a lot of the ones we broker. We put them to bid anyway. We don't do direct sales because we want them to get a fair market price. But a lot of the time people don't bid against the DAO. We got the Trojan Horse meme recently. There's the nightclub photo. I probably, if I send you the images, it might be easier to
Yeah. I know the club. I know the club
to
one.
recognize them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one of a kid drowning in a pool while
Okay.
his mum like ignores him.
Yeah.
That one. There's one called the Silent Protector, which is someone like in front of a bed taking a bunch of knives
I know
to
that one. Yeah,
protect
that's a
someone.
classic. So how does this work? Like okay, you buy the Trojan Horse meme, which is obviously everyone's used it at some point or another. You are basically able to verify who originated that image, and then who created it, and then they basically are saying like, this is the original one, and I'm selling it to you, and then it is stamped on the blockchain after that. But how are you like authenticating this is like the one, and then how much of it is like social consensus? I'm like, okay, we agree that this is the one.
So we have a lot of agents help us out with this. Usually there's articles written about, these memes are already famous, so they've had some stuff written about them already. So we verify through that. We have, video calls or we meet them in real life. And then also, if there's a physical work, we'd ask to see that as well. Sometimes we get the physical work. Yeah. And then they create a wallet and they can mint the NFT, and then yeah, that acts as their signature, their digital signature, essentially.
How much did you buy the Trojan Horse for?
I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say 5 ETH, but it might be more than that.
Oh, okay. So they're not all selling for like millions of dollars.
No. Some of them go for incredibly cheap. So the Giga Chad?
Yeah, of course.
Right, that's like a super famous one. So we got that on the secondary market for $40,000.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that's like
Yeah, okay.
That's almost as famous as Doge, right?
That's
like a crazy deal.
Okay, makes sense. I wasn't sure if everything was like $4 million. I'm like, holy fuck. There's a token, a BIC token. Is that true?
Yes, so it's called NFT because that's what we launched as. We're considering a token migration at some point because we can't change the stuff on chain to go along with the rebrand. So we're considering migrating to fix all of that. But yeah, so it works as a DAO, token weighted voting, has a multi-sig. Yeah, we have meetings every week. We discuss this stuff. We do
Really?
research into different tokens, and yeah.
Chat's calling it a meme ETF. I like that.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. But there's other ones out there so there's IMF. I know they do just like general meme coins, right? So we're very focused on ones that are created by the people who made the memes, because we feel like that has historical significance. And
Yeah.
yeah.
What the fuck happened to IMF? What happened?
So someone got margin called, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, we actually had a position of that in the DAO.
oh, that didn't age super well, depending when you bought it.
Oh, we got in fairly early.
Okay,
we
I had them on the
We're
stream, and I'm like, yeah, it's a cool idea, but I've basically been pitched the IMF thesis like 15 times in the last month. Everyone is trying to build this, looping meme, borrowing against meme coins, looping meme coins. So I don't know. I guess we know how it ends. I'm curious. One more thing on the NFT thesis. How important, the internet culture thing is always like the most fascinating part of crypto to me. As being terminally online and internet culture evolves, how important are NFTs going to be in the grand scheme of this whole like equation?
So if you can tie them to like a human source, like that's really important, because then it acts as a way of connecting you to, like, as there's more AI content coming out.
Makes
It
sense.
ties you to real human culture in like a provable way, which I think is really important. People who collect things, they love to be part of the story. If you buy an NFT on a blockchain, then that's recorded as you having owned it forever, right? And people, they like this concept mostly for trading. Like, a lot of collections, like, will have a floor price and so on, but it works just as well for individual artworks. I think, because they're not liquid, they're not as easily tradable, or you can't speculate on them as easily. So the velocity isn't quite there. But with BIC, because we own them as a DAO, we have a token you can trade. Essentially, it contains all of them for you. So it's a way of speculating on all of that. Yeah, I think it's important. This is like these memes. If you think about how culturally important they are, like we spend almost all of our time online, right?
Yeah.
And like the Doge image is probably the most famous one, and it only went for $4 million, right? If you compare that to like the Salvador Mundi, which probably wasn't even a real Da Vinci, that went for $500 million, right? Like
Whoa.
that's nowhere near as iconic. The provenance is not as good, right? Whereas we have like NFTs, they solve the provenance problem completely. You don't need these old auction houses anymore
Huh.
that take 50% or whatever, right? So we're betting on that in a big way.
Wait, I don't even. What sold for $500 million? I don't even know what that is. That you just. What did you just say? What did you just say?
It was a painting,
Who painted it?
Da Vinci,
Oh, okay. You
Leonardo
said
da
Da
Vinci.
Vinci. Okay, okay, okay. How long ago was that sale?
Uh, 7 years, something like, I
Whoa.
don't know. It was a while ago.
And who bought it for $500 million?
The Saudi prince, I think.
Wow. Okay, so you
Yeah,
think,
can't remember.
broadly speaking, forget the short-term token, specific token price. All of internet culture assets are gonna just be marked up like ridiculous as time goes on.
We have that belief. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're probably correct on that.
Right. Well, if you look at like Dogecoin went to 80 billion, right? That it did that, but it didn't have any provenance.
Yeah.
Which, if you're a collector, if you're someone who cares about the culture and wants a connection to it, that does matter. If you like, so you have Mischief's Big Red Boots
Huh.
behind you,
Yeah.
right?
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
So
Ball goer.
that's like a collectible piece of fashion, right? You want to buy a fake one of those,
Yeah.
right? You want to know that they're the real thing. So yeah, it's the same concept. We think it's the gap between the real thing with these NFTs and the meme coins that are traded mostly today is like, it's huge. The valuation gap is huge. So that's our bet,
Okay. I didn't
and
know.
it's quite an asymmetric one as well.
Yeah, I didn't know you were a ball knower like that. Calling out the red boots. All right. Mr. Path. Okay, here's a question for you on a little bit of a different topic, but similar. Is like, bro, you've been on CT since 2013. How have you not just like rage quit or said fuck this place? It's like, how are you still active on? It's impressive. I feel like most people can't make one cycle. How are you still active on? Like, why are you still active on CT? Why are you still here?
Um, I mean, look, the whole thing isn't, you know, it can be stressful sometimes. Absolutely, I think it's important to we have a culture like we make each other laugh, right? Like that's I think one of the most important things to help you stay around, and like you're going to be most successful in crypto if you're able to survive, right? And that's what I focused on. You don't have to. Um, if you get to a certain point, you can just stick to like the more certain trades. So I did that fairly early on because I was early to crypto. Um, and then really it's just about not going insane. So you need to learn how to survive. And the way you do that is, you know, maybe try not to spend too much time on Twitter. Maybe try and like look at long form content. Just have a long term views on things.
How different? I'll skip 2013, but how different is CT now from what it used to be in like 2017? Even I was here in 2021, but I definitely was not here in 2017. How different is it now?
Um, there's a lot more bots now. It's like I think the biggest change is probably like Twitter's algorithmic changes. Like the content you get suggested and the replies you get, like the bots are. I mean, there were bots before, but they were like very obviously bots. Like
Yeah.
recently, you've had AI bots that, you know, they'll try and have a conversation with you, right? That's kind of scary. So I think that's gonna like tear the social fabric apart soon enough. I think it's gotten like there's a lot more influencers who come from the outside as well. I think, you know, that it's been harder and harder to separate, like define what CT is, which is, you know, that's normal. It's a decentralized ecosystem. But yeah, it doesn't feel as tight knit. Like I think when I joined crypto, when I joined CT, you could literally keep track of every single thing happening in crypto. It was that small. You cannot, like 2016 onwards, you've not been able to do that. It's impossible. Right? There's too much information. There's too many people in the industry. So that yeah,
You
and AI is going to make that even worse.
you probably also knew every person on CT in 20 like
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
damn. Do you feel like let me ask you this because you've seen from the earliest days is how important do you think crypto Twitter is to the grand scheme of crypto and financial markets?
So I don't think it's ever been that relevant to like Bitcoin and maybe ETH as well. Just because like as a cultural force, they exist beyond Twitter and beyond social media, right? There's um, but when it comes to like altcoins and especially NFTs and kind of social trends, very important. I think also very important for like spreading leverage trading and so on, and like new product ideas. That's how that spreads primarily. I think, you know, for better or worse. See, I think the core part of the core values of crypto kind of they do fine without it, but the more obscure stuff, CT is very useful for spreading those ideas and discussing them, I think.
I think it's especially for new products. You sort of need
Yes.
um, crypto Twitter. Someone has to fucking post about it to get users. Okay, what was your what was your like make it trade or make it like era?
So in 2014, there was a coin called Verycoin. Um, I don't know if it trades any. I think it's been abandoned at this point. I did about like 100x on that, like full port, which was cool.
In
And then after
2014
that,
on Verycoin. Whoa, I've never even heard
so
of that.
we there was an exchange called Cryptsy and there was an exchange called MintPow, and both of those rugged. Eventually, they got all their money and ran. Um, so I traded on those a lot. Good old days. Yeah, I made a lot of money on that, and then I locked quite a lot of those winnings in Bitcoin because at that point I'd already like so nowadays you have rugs, right? And there were rugs back then as well, but a lot of the way people lost all of their money was the exchange they were trading on, either being hacked or just running off with the money, right? And that happened to me fairly early on, so I lost like a huge amount of my portfolio just having my money on an exchange that was dodgy. So that taught me about self custody very early on, and also taught me when I had this big win, I was like, okay, I'm going to take an amount and I'm just not going to touch it, and I'm going to put it in what the most sure thing is at that point. Yeah.
Whoa. Why did you full port Verycoin? You just were fucking yeah. Why'd you full port?
So there was like a pattern of people would like pump and dump things. This is like very, very, very early days. So people who were running trading bots, you could spot their patterns in the order books because there were not that many trades. And so people who would like accumulate things to then list it on one of the exchanges, you could spot those patterns. And I did a lot of research, and I was like, okay, I think this one's going to get listed on this exchange next based on how it's trading. So I bought quite a lot of it, and I was right. And it followed the same pattern as the other ones that had been listed and bought the same way. So yeah, essentially, I think I rode off the back of someone who was manipulating the price. Yeah.
Whoa. Were you? Do you know any lore about Wulong?
Oh yes, Wolong. Yes, Dogecoin trader.
Was he like massive at the time when all that was? I've read like the article. I think Udi or someone told me to read the article. I've read it. Was he like a massive name at the time when that was going on?
So yeah, he made himself out to be this like big whale trader on Dogecoin, which I think he was, but like he had a pump and dump group. I think a lot of it is kind of a con game and like bigging yourself up to be, this all powerful person. And like back then, and Bob Lax talks about this, like the amount of money that was a lot of money is like not a lot of money at all now because the industry has grown like such an insane amount. There was another big whale called Fontas who was like he did the same thing but on even bigger coins like Litecoin. He was a big name as well. So there were these like legendary figures back then who, they kind of just disappeared into nothingness. I'm sure they made many Bitcoin and just held that afterwards.
The Wolong like Substack article or whatever it is crazy.
Yeah, well he talks about how like he tricks people into thinking like certain events are positive, and then using that to push the price up with certain narratives. And yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. I read that and like, holy fuck, man! I thought it was the Wild West right now, right? It was fucking different world. Do you think it's harder in 2025 to make money in crypto than it used to be?
Things are faster. Things are a lot faster now. Like with on-chain trading, you have things launch and then rug like within minutes, right? It's insane. And I think that the level of insider trading, like if you snipe a coin, you have such an impossible advantage over other people. Like when coins used to launch in 2014, they'd have to have their own blockchain, right? So that meant usually there would be miners, right? So there'd be a whole mining ecosystem, and there'd be things like people would try to game the mining. It's called insta mining. That's the same as like sniping a coin. But it took a lot more effort, and people could counter it. So it was actually harder to do kind of insider launches back then. So I think it wasn't as brutal as it is now, where you can get sandwiched, you can get slipped, you can whatever.
Do you feel like a responsibility to keep up with every new meta that's happening in crypto? Like, were you trading shitters on Solana and Pump Fund in 2024?
I mean, I traded some, but I don't know. I missed a lot of Solana initially. I missed Hyperliquid is the new big one. I don't force myself into these things. Like I have my own convictions. I'm going to work on those, right? Like I know based on how I think about things, like how I do my own trading, how I come up with my own discretionary trading. Like I'm confident in my own ideas. I'm not trying to chase everything. You can't catch everything, right? If you try, then you're going to blow yourself up. So it's best really to stick to your own ideas and be confident in that.
The chat has a lot of questions for you, and they're like spamming me to ask. What is the people keep telling me ask Path about the cursed chart that he created.
So I made a chart on TradingView towards the end of 2017. boy, like I did an overlay of like a previous Bitcoin bubble, and I put it on the current price, and I got the top roughly and also the bottom, like matched onto it like over like 6 months or so. So it was like, it hit all the points it was supposed to, and that kind of blew up because it predicted the top of the market.
Did you trade
Became a
it?
meme. Yeah, yeah, that was so those Bitcoins that like I got from the Vericon trade, I didn't touch them for years. So I was like I dropped out of uni after like 3 months, and I was like, I'm just going to be a trader, because I wasn't enjoying it at all. This was in 2015. I held all that Bitcoin until the end of 2017, until the target on that chart hit. And I stuck to it, and I sold a decent amount of Bitcoin and was very happy with that.
And then
Yeah.
bought the bottom back?
Not as much as I wish I did. And then you have tax and stuff that comes up as well, so that's fun.
Tell me, okay, so you love NFTs. You were in crypto since the earliest days. I think I don't know much about it, but I think you have some interesting like crypto punk lore. Like what were you doing in 2017 when punks were claimable?
I didn't claim any punks. I did. I think I got like a crypto kitty back then. I did. So I have some regrets with Ethereum. I remember sitting on the ETH pre-sale page, and this guy called Bryce Wiener, I think he's still around. He like convinced me not to buy some, so that was maybe the worst decision I've ever made. But I did buy some ETH after that, quite a decent price. But I missed the pre-sale. And then I used ETH. ETH really wasn't usable in the same way it is now. Like the on-chain didn't exist until like with like UI and good UX didn't exist until about 2017. There wasn't anything to use anyway. I claimed a CryptoKitty back then, and then after that, I didn't really do anything with NFTs, but I was very much into collectibles. So I traded CS:GO skins a lot, and Pokemon cards and all sorts of other stuff. But then I heard about NFTs. Like there are more and more collections coming out. There's something called Urbit, so I bought Urbit as an NFT in 2019 or 20, which was like, again, this is before NFTs really blow up. And I started paying more attention to the NFT scene. And yeah, so I ended up buying some punks. I was on NBA Top Shot
Fuck
a
yeah.
lot
That's how I got
back
here.
back when that was big. um, and then that's when the NFT craze kind of blew up. So there was this thing called hash masks,
Uh-huh.
which was just like it was one of the first like 10K meta collections, and I thought, oh, this will be fun. So I minted some of them, and I told some people about it, and then that became like the first like NFT mint out like big collection that people traded.
Oh, did you start the hash?
Like
I remember Keyboard Monkey bought the last one for 100 ETH, right? Minted. Did you started the hash
yeah.
masks thing?
Well, I was one person in a chain of many people, but I told many of my trader friends, yeah, and then it spread from there. Yeah, and that was the first big like NFT trading product, and then Bored Apes and stuff came after that. I minted Bored Apes. Um,
How many did you mint?
I have an honorary Bored Ape, so I was the first honorary Bored Ape. They made me one because I like interacted with them early on because I think I'd followed them at some point. I still have that. I should have sold it, never did. um, yeah, I've mint. Yeah, I took like a shotgun approach to it. I minted like many different things. But I've because of my experience in collectibles, I was like, it just clicked for me that digital collectibles should be a big thing and that they should be popular. And at the time, because it was COVID, people were spending all the time indoors. So for people to like enjoy collecting and feel connected to a culture, like NFTs made a lot of sense to me.
So, okay, you're super bullish on the provenance NFTs, sort of long-term value of the internet culture. Do you have like a crazy punks thesis? Like, do you have a ton of crypto punks?
I've got one V2 CryptoPunk, but I have a bunch of V1s. So I think the story behind
Yeah,
V1
yeah, I do. Tell
CryptoPunks.
it though. I know it, but it's relevant for the chat. Yeah, tell the story.
So Lava Labs messed up the contract very early on in after they launched CryptoPunks, and you could like steal punks from other users when they were listing them on their site. So they airdropped the V2 punks to everyone to correct that. But then I think in 21 or 22, someone figured out that actually you could rescue the V1 punks and fix that contract, right? So all these V1 punks, they still existed on chain, and they were minted by Lava Labs. And actually, they were the original CryptoPunks because the other ones were airdropped afterwards. So they're earlier than the punks that are trading for like 50, 60 ETH now. There is an earlier collection called the V1 punks that are valued at like 5-10% of that.
Okay,
and I think the way you would think about those is misprints, right? Because they're still the real thing. They're still minted by the same people.
Oh, you just
I
bought
think it's a really
V1 8 punk for 250 ETH or something, didn't you? Was that you?
57 ETH.
Oh, but 250,000. Yeah, it was USD.
Yes.
I just saw that actually. Okay, this is a controversial. Congratulations. This is like a this is a controversial topic, by the way. Obviously, do you think at some point V1 punks will flip the V2s?
I think flipping is quite a reach. I think they're undervalued because they have the same provenance. Again, it's that story. They have all the same on-chain stuff as the V2s. They just don't have the same social network, the same network effect that kind of pushed the V2 punks. But from a collectible and historical standpoint, they're actually better than V2s. Yeah. And I think if you know about like misprints and collectibles, misprints usually go for more than the original. So I think them being valued at like 5% is ridiculously undervalued.
Wait, how many do you have?
So I'm betting on. I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, it's like that. Okay. Well, look, I was before Top Shot. I found Top Shot because I was a sports card reseller, flipper, collector. So I'm like into the weird shit, the misprint, all types of whatnot. Oh, you're back. You froze for a minute. It's an interesting story. It gets like suppressed. The story gets like shunned on CT of the punks.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny to me, right? Because they're called punks, right? So you think that the spirit of them should be against whatever the narrative is, right? So, like you have all these like New York VCs wearing punks and like gatekeeping their investments, saying, "Oh no, your punks aren't real punks because we said so." Right? It's like the least punk thing you can do. So.
Whoa, I fuck with this actually. This okay. The chat. You bought a ghost NFT for $1 million. Is that true?
Not with my own money. It was under another structure, but yeah.
How did that work?
So the ghost collection was that was they kind of died off. That people don't talk about them.
They're awesome
anymore,
though.
Unfortunately.
Their ghosts are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the art was great, and they really blew up in the initial NFT boom. But I think it's one of those things in a bubble where you kind of get carried away with maybe if you want to collect the whole set, you pay a ridiculous amount of money, and yeah.
It did get stupid in 2021. It got a little bit crazy. Do you still trade CS:GO? CS:GO skins are all-time highs, aren't they? Do you still trade CS:GO skins?
Yes, I still have. Yeah, I have Kato Hollows. You know them?
I don't really know much about them. I just my brother loves Counter-Strike, so I'm just like aware. I just care about the market is interesting. I don't trade, so I don't really know any. I actually know zero, but I just know that they're fucking going crazy. But chat's saying holy fuck, so to that, yeah, they're freaking out about that.
I cornered the market on one of the stickers, Harp of War.
Okay.
Because I wanted to play around with doing that. So I bought like all of them, and I used most of them up. So there aren't many around anymore. Yeah, when you use the stickers, you can't remove them from the gun, so the supply decreases. That's why they're such a good investment. Right, the supply only goes down on these things.
Whoa. Are you it is at all-time highs, right? The market's at Counter-Strike market's at all-time highs.
Some of them, yeah. If you there's lots of different indexes you could look at. There's different parts of the market that do well at different times. But yeah, largely it's doing very, very well at the moment. Yeah.
okay, back to NFTs. What is your take on Milady? I'm big. I don't know. I'm really obsessed right now with the people that write articulately about internet culture and sort of look at themselves as like connoisseurs or students of internet culture. And so I always find myself coming back. He's a controversial figure, but coming back to Charlotte Fang's Mirror and all the articles that they've written. What some of the chat mentioned it that Path maybe mint Milady. What's your take on that ecosystem? Their sort of philosophical. I don't know, just their whole bit. Like, what do you think of Milady's?
Do you know my story with them?
No.
No. Okay. So I minted Milady's very early on. Um, they made me an honorary as well. I think it's the only honorary Milady that was ever made. Um, I minted a lot of them and I promoted them quite a lot. I followed Charlotte Fang many years ago um, on another account. But like I was aware of these people before they came to crypto. And I thought, the content they were putting out was very cool. But after a while, there's lots of things you find out about these people and the culture that they're not healthy, and they disguise things as a joke, and with they use plausible deniability to disguise their actual intentions. So I didn't want to be related to them anymore. So I exited that position. I don't have anything to do with them. I don't think they're healthy to be around.
Makes sense. Interesting story. The honorary is crazy. The only honorary.
Yes.
Whoa. Damn, you've been like so you. It's one of these things. I guess if you're around for so long, you just are like involved with all the cool stuff that comes through crypto. Like, how much? Okay, let me ask you this: how much of making it in crypto is an endurance game and just like surviving long enough to be a recipient of the cool things that come along?
Um. Yeah, like the returns you get are very asymmetric in crypto, right? Like you can put some money down at 100x, 1000x's or whatever, right? So as long as you're if you take the view of like if you take a kind of intelligent approach to what you're choosing and you go for the asymmetric bets, you can survive. But if you're patient, it's very easy to get a higher hit rate on those. I think if if you just log on to Pump Fund one day and you say, okay, I'm going to buy 100 different tokens, they might all rug, honestly, right? You need to just take your time and think about what new technology makes sense, what new narratives make sense, and yeah, just concentrate your bets on things that can run quite a way. Don't be afraid to have conviction.
I like that take. You went on up only a couple times, didn't you?
Yes.
How was I didn't want to listen to it because I didn't want to cloud my brain with too much information. But how were those?
um Great. Yeah, no, Kobe's been a friend for a very long time. Yeah, I
What
enjoy that stream.
what's your take on the future of crypto media, like finance media, and even like what we're doing, like we're live right now on stream. What's your take on how that evolves?
um So yeah, no, I think this format works quite well. Like you've been, I mean, yeah, you do podcasts with a few people every time you stream, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you're getting a good diversity of information out there, I think. Um, I don't listen to that many podcasts and things myself, honestly. I've kind of curated my information with like just connections on Telegram and Twitter and so on. So that's how I get most of my stuff, or like I do my own independent research. But I think for the format you have here is very good for people who are joining the space, because they kind of they can find out about things that are interesting. Like if because when I joined, it was very purist. Like a lot of people were very ideological, or they were very technical about the tokens, and it wasn't as money focused. But now there's so much money in the space, and there's so much fast money. A new person coming in, the algorithm will direct them to someone who's like doing a pump and dump, or they're promoting a scam, or
Yeah.
all these very dodgy things. So I think if you're directing new people to things that are more ambitious and more serious, then you're doing them a favor. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Do you do you think Kobe will ever film another Up Only episode?
um, I don't, I don't know. I don't know how he feels about that.
There was
Yeah,
some.
I can't say.
Everyone gets mad at me because they're like, last cycle we had Kobe, now we're stuck with fucking threadguy, and I'm like, bro, I I didn't tell him to leave. Like, it's not my fault he left. You know, it's like fuck, man. Um, I'll let you go in a couple of minutes, but I have a couple more like questions for you. I'll let you go in like 5 minutes. I swear. What is okay? This is gonna be a big question. You can answer however you want. What is the what's the craziest trade you've ever seen happen in crypto/crypto Twitter? It could be like P&L, it could be like risk, it could be like balls on the table or however you want to answer it.
So back in late 2013, you know Mount Gox?
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm aware of it.
Yeah. This was the biggest. This was like Coinbase back in the day. Basically, they had 85% of Bitcoin volume going through them. They were the place to buy Bitcoin. I couldn't sign up because I wasn't old enough, so I actually dodged a bullet because of that. But this is where all the Bitcoin went through, and eventually they got hacked, which is there's a whole other story behind that. But they lost almost all of their Bitcoin, and the information that was coming out of them as to whether or not they had the money or not was very opaque. So there was a lot of incomplete information. People weren't very good at analyzing the blockchain and figuring these things out. And when they like closed down withdrawals and stuff, there was a system on the site where you could, I think, directly send Bitcoin to other Mt. Gox accounts without having to make a transaction. So someone built on top of that like an IOU system, so you could buy Bitcoin that was locked in Mt. Gox for actual Bitcoin that was outside of it. And so there was an exchange rate between the two different types of Bitcoin, and that would fluctuate based on whether or not people believe that Mt. Gox was solvent or not. So you could get like 100 Bitcoin for 10 on Mt. Gox or something, right? And you could trade that back and forth, and that had like really wild swings. And if you had the right information from whichever sources you managed to get the information from, then you could have a huge advantage on trading that. But people made and lost a lot of money trading those IOUs. And if you didn't get out before the end of it, I think it took like 10 years for those people to get repaid, right? So there was some very high risk, exciting stuff going on there.
Whoa, I've never heard someone. Were you trading the IOUs?
I didn't know. I know Kobe did. Yeah, I didn't trade those because I couldn't get a Mt. Gox account. So
Whoa, that's insane. I've never heard that story before. Whoa, wow, that's crazy. Okay, we got to say something. My bad.
no, we're
Okay,
good.
okay. Here's one more for you because you've seen a lot of traders come through CT in crypto. What is your like Mount Rushmore of crypto traders? Like top five people to ever come through crypto?
Um, I like a lot of the ones who. I mean, like if you name people, then people usually name like these big names on Twitter and stuff. Like there's a lot of people who um maybe aren't as loud, but make a lot of money quietly, right? Like, or maybe like sometimes they're in plain sight and people don't appreciate how well they've done, right? So Paolo from Bitfinex, he's
Okay.
founded Tether. He was a trader like everyone else at one point. He worked at Bitfinex, and now he runs. I think they make the most money per employee of any company in the world, right? Like they make billions of dollars a year just staking dollars, right? So, that's a trade as good as everything else is, right? Like you can think in abstract ways about these things. There was a guy called Colin Crypto who did like ICOs in 2016, 2017, and he hit like every single big ICO. He did really well and retired. He was like an early CT character who hasn't been around for years, but he did incredibly well. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. I think are very impressive, and people aren't considered because when they think about traders, they maybe think of it kind of one dimensionally, like on chain or leveraging or shitcoining and whatever. But there's other ways to go about this stuff.
Whoa. I don't know the calling crypto guy. I don't think. Whoa.
Yeah, he's cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so what do you think about current state of crypto? Like what's your take on sort of like where the puck is going and what people should be paying the most attention to in like moving forward in crypto?
So I think what's most exciting with our industry is that it really is merging into traditional finance, right? Like we're going to see tokenized stocks. We're going to see other kind of investments, other vehicles, borrowing infrastructure kind of appear on ETH, and the amount of liquidity that will bring with it. Like there's lots of DeFi protocols that I think will pop up on various different chains that could offer new opportunities in different ways. I think that's really exciting. I think DeFi is probably, it's been absolutely battered for a while, but with ETH coming back, there's probably some hope for it. With all the institutional money coming in. And yeah, like the new ZORA flywheel system, I really like. Again, that ties into the idea of provenance, right? You have actual creators monetizing their work in a way that they've not been able to before, and it's verified. I think the ZORA flywheel is really cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you say that. That's so you are like really tapped in with everything that's happening. What is your take on NFTs on different chains? Like, are you just interested in ETH NFTs or Ordinals interesting to you? Do you like Solana NFTs? Like, what's your stance on what chain for NFTs?
At the moment, Solana NFTs are much cooler than ETH NFTs. Yeah.
Whoa.
A lot of,
What do you like on Solana? Little chillers?
Huh?
The little chillers? Chill house NFTs?
I don't think I know. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a
no.
link. Yeah.
I like Little Swag World. Do you know them?
They're spamming it in the chat, so I do know. Yeah.
They're like an AI generated. They're beautiful. Yeah, they're Super Metal Bosch made those. There's a lot of other artists. I'm going to try not to like shiver like a dozen microcaps. I don't want to be responsible for that, but like that art and a lot of the art surrounding it, I think, is much more interesting than anything else going on any other chain.
So you just think that like the people that are launching Solana NFTs basically are just more interesting than what's happening anywhere else?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't think you were gonna say it. There's chat. There's probably 500 messages asking about Solana NFTs. I thought it was like a trap. I didn't think you were gonna say that. That's awesome, honestly. What about Ordinals? Do you like Ordinals?
I have some Bitcoin puppets. Yes, I have them.
I love puppets.
They made me laugh, so I bought them. That's a great indicator, honestly, to buy an NFT. I think. I don't really have many other ordinals though. No.
All I have is puppets. So and shout out Udi. I have a quantum cat. I have a quantum cat as well. Okay, I want to ask you one final. I appreciate you stay. I told you 30 minutes. You stayed way longer than 30 minutes. Thank you. This was sick. What is your? Okay, you've been here since 2013. You've been in crypto forever. What is your advice that you tell people that are newer here, that haven't made it, that are probably 15, 16, 17, 18, like you were when you first started in crypto, on how to survive in the space and then eventually how to make it?
I mean, it's a very, very broad question, isn't it? Right?
I know.
Yeah, you wanna survive. You wanna not. If you're going like full port on something, then you need to babysit that position, right? And that can really get to you. That's very stressful. And I think now, like back when I did it, things were not as fast as they are now. So I think I'm probably not the best to advise on what to do on that nowadays. But yeah, you want to kind of structure your portfolio so you have most of your portfolio in something that's more certain, like Bitcoin or ETH, or if you don't have a huge portfolio, maybe you want to move that down a level on the risk curve, right? So maybe you put everything into like Pump or something else that you believe in, or ZORA or whatever. And then you take a small amount of your portfolio and you use that on high risk things that can return significantly more. But yeah, come up with your own ideas. Try not to like blindly follow people, because if you're following what someone says, they might change their mind and not tell you, and you shouldn't just copy other people's trades. You need to come up with your own ideas, justify them, specialize in some sort of. You want an information advantage, is what I'm trying to say, right? So you want to be able to study something and know that I know more than the market does, or I know more than the average person does in regards to this, whether that be your taste in something, or your opinion on what the technology can do, or like the functionality of some DeFi and what that can be applied to. Yeah, you want to have those advantages over the rest of the market, and try and focus on that.
Cryptopathic, dude, it was a fucking pleasure, man. I'm so hyped I finally got
Thank
to
you
meet
for
you.
having me.
Yeah, dude, I hope you enjoyed it and you didn't feel like I barraged you with too many questions. But I mean, dude, you're a legend. It was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Have a go, man. We'll talk offline. Peace.
You too.